We are now joined by crime expert Mike Polhes, who warns residents to be vigilant during the festive season. Good morning and welcome, Mike.
Morning. Thank you for the opportunity.
You are most welcome. I think this is a topic that we need to address over and over again, whether it's the festive season or not. But unfortunately, during the festive season, we see that the crime rates just go up, and there's just more and more criminals that we need to be vigilant around. And there are new tactics that we're discovering every day. People like yourself would obviously know how they've improved on what to do to actually target innocent victims. What is the latest, Mike?
Well, the criminals, as the media, as the information that we have sent through to all the written media and on TV,
Mm-hmm.
as there's nothing new under the sun. They
Mm.
just do the old tricks better, and they do it in such a way that it pulls you in without you realizing. So if last year they did something, or the year before, and they saw that it was semi-successful, they would work at it, and this year they will do it better, if I can explain it like that. So
Right.
for instance, with these little devices that they give out, which has a SIM card in, key holders, which looks beautiful. It's beautiful to the eyes. It's a nice device, and the parents think, it can take a SIM card, and it is specifically made, and therefore as a tracking device for where your kids are. So you leave a mall, and in the car park you will be offered a most beautiful key ring, which, as I've
Mm-hmm.
said, can take in a SIM card, and you can then track and trace your children where they are, which every parent wants to do. But the guys selling this, not all of them, but most of them, have a sinister plan. In other words, they would track and trace your movements. And what they would do is they would, first of all, if they see it's a family that's does not look that rich, because they look out for the very rich people. They look at what cars they drive, and jewelry, belongings, etc., etc., and also in specific areas. So they
Right.
do a bit of an investigation. So they've escalated, and then they plan it properly, and then they will rob you at your holiday homes, or at the places where you have booked in or rented, or follow you. And
Oh,
this might even turn into a kidnapping. Now, the last 2 months, because of you guys, the media, all in the media, it's been a splash everywhere of how vigilant and how aware we must be. And that has made a huge difference. A lot of security companies, ourselves with the projects, the police, everybody has stepped up this year. We have warned about extreme kidnappings where police was involved as well. I see that has made extreme headlines, and the police has made an extreme difference in that field as well. There's wherever we go and wherever we get information from, we hear that the police has clamped down and is making a difference, and therefore there's so much less crime. You can
okay.
all can check it out. There's much less crime this last month or so than the previous year, and I'm elated about that. And we thank the media for that, because information is power. If you know what to look for and what
Yes.
to be aware about, and how to operate when you are in the festive season, the chances of you becoming a victim of crime is much less. And also remember, the criminals watch and follows all the media interviews, and they are aware what's going on. Don't think for a moment that the criminal is not aware of both sides, their side and our side, fighting the crime, and obviously the public in the middle, which is like a chess game, which we want to protect and serve.
Right.
So this also deters the criminals. So my warning out there once again is for the next couple of, say, 2 weeks, is to be extremely careful and to refollow all the news media uh, 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 documents that has been spread out, the projects, everything pertaining crime and the crime situation of our country. Study it a bit, go through it, be extremely vigilant, be aware, don't get involved in anything unless you've done a thorough investigation, a thorough identification and evaluation. Do proper
Mhm.
vetting and evaluation of every and any situation. And that includes buying the smallest device. They're talking about devices. You don't need out or extra devices. Your phone is enough. If your parents and you as a family with any of your service providers available can just ask them to add an app, Find Me or Where Am I or something like that. There's quite a few, or Live 360. Then it's 100%. It works like a bomb, and everybody will know where everybody is.
Mm.
However, make sure that you don't have information on your phone that puts you in a compromising position. It's no
Right.
use you have the app on your phone, but you've got all your passwords on the phone,
Yeah.
all your bling, everything you own, your card details, your address here and at home, how much money you have in the bank, the gate motors details, etc., etc. You must make sure that your phone is clean, meaning only the most necessary information on it, so that if the criminal has your phone, he can actually just see your contacts and not do anything with your phone or put a gun against your head and say to you, listen, um, transfer money or do this, that, or the other. This is the most important thing I want the public to know. If your information on your phone puts you in a compromising position, you and your families and all your belongings, you've had too much on your phone and you are at risk. And the criminals knows that people and their phones, it's the greatest love affair. They have everything on it, absolutely everything. And all they have to do is threaten and intimidate you or a family member and say, just pass it all on. And if you have all that information on their phone, on that phone of yours, you have no other option in order to save lives.
So, how would you advise one protecting one's banking app then?
Well, the apps are available. We always say the kids in the house is the smartest people in the room. They are. And the kids must watch these TV programs. They must read the newspapers. The days of where kids are just left to their own devices or left alone or go out alone or, treated as adults is over. It should have never happened, as a matter of fact. I always say to the kids, don't try and be mature before you haven't been a child. Stay a child as long as possible, but adhere to strict rules and disciplines and regulations which your parents set out for you and people like ourselves and the authorities, because this will prepare you for a much better life once you step into the mature world. And then you can definitely know how to prevent crime and how to not to get involved in crime and not to become a victim. But the kids can tell you. They can, if you sit down as a family, they'll tell you this app and so forth. The problem is the children don't want to be found. And I want to say to the children the following: guys, make sure you can be found, because it's just like that you can be taken, kidnapped, and I don't even want to go there, but serious sexual violent crimes can happen to you at night, at nightclubs and wherever you go on entertainment. Don't think these things don't happen. It does. And don't think that this can't happen to you, or it won't happen to me. It can.
Yeah. Yeah.
So make sure that you are be able to reach your children, and that they are always in proper communications with yourselves, and explain to them the necessity of it. But if the children are, you know, not working together, then you do it yourself. You take the phones, but that's going to be a lekker excursion, because you try and take your child's phone and you'll see what jumps those kids do. It's unbelievable. So then you already know that child has stuff on the phone that shouldn't be there. So that's in any way a very good exercise to go through. But you take the phones and you add these devices and you make sure that these devices are on. And there has to be strict rules, regulations, and discipline. Otherwise, I'm telling you now, your kid, your children could be involved in some kind of crime, or they can be victims of some kind of crime going down.
Hmm. Now, when you talk about visiting malls, what is it that we need to be cautious of apart from what you've mentioned?
When you visit malls, families should, especially in this festive season, but this counts right for everybody, right down the whole year, next year as well, and the years to come. Families must work together. This where a person go one to the mall is in a way dangerous, because these are the ones that are targeted in the parking areas. So the parking areas are very dangerous in the sense that this is where cars get stolen, and this is where um, order cars are identified. In other words, there are spotters looking at the vehicles entering, and then if there's a specific vehicle that a syndicate or a gang would want, they would target this vehicle and then see how many people is in the car and what is the setup, what is the risk. They do the same as we. They do a risk analysis, they do a complete spotting, evaluation, etc., etc. And then when you exit the mall, first of all, they would maybe follow you a bit around in the mall. So be vigilant. See if you are followed. This is one of the things that criminals do. They check you out, and if you see you've been checked out a bit too much, you need to inform as many as possible of the security people involved, and you should take immediate drastic actions as not to make a move whatsoever till the police has arrived. Fortunately, the police have employed a lot more police officers, so I've heard very few bad incidences, very few, and we praise God for that. Obviously, we give God
Yes.
all the glory, but we give our country and our authorities, as well as the people and everybody in our country, also a pat on the back and say, "Well, good for you. You guys are awake and aware, and you're vigilant." But when they will follow you out, they will. Your hands are full. Maybe there's some kids running around. It's at this stage that you are extremely vulnerable, because how do you defend yourself? And they would take you the moment you are all in the car. They will jump in from behind or into the car or pull one out, and then they will leave with a vehicle, most probably with weapons, knives or guns. And then this is how they steal ordered cars. But they'll take everything else on the way. And they might take your bank cards as well and empty that as well. And they might take you and your family for a drive um, or more, even a day or two. That's what they do, and this does happen. It doesn't happen constantly, but it does happen. So advice at a mall is to be as a group, as a family, and to have not everybody their hands full, but some must be aware and what's going on. So my advice is, when you go into a parking lot, walk in at least two separate groups. Maybe mom with the kids and father with the bigger boys. And then first, at a distance, just check your vehicle, see if your vehicle is being checked out, see if there's suspicious people looking at it, following you, um, being interested in your movements. Just be aware. And then give a bit of a distance, have the rest of the family get into the vehicle, see what happens if you work with your remote, if there's a jammer going on or anything, and see what happens, if anybody comes closer or tries to grab you as a group. That is going to be very difficult for them if there's two groups. So once the family, the first part of the family is completely in the vehicle, then father and the elder sons get in, still being extremely vigilant, and then you leave. And you could be followed as well. Then be careful. And when you drive, wherever you drive, especially if it's expensive vehicles and sought after vehicles like cruisers and all these SUVs, you need to be careful. And that's what big families usually use. And
All
also
right.
then wherever you are, make sure that you not double, triple, four times press your remotes
Remote.
so that you can see if there's any jamming going on. So make sure your vehicles are locked and test it afterwards and walk a distance, turn around, lock it again, turn another, walk a further distance, and then click it again and make sure that it's properly locked.
All right, Mike, we're going to have to end it there. Thank you so much for all of that advice. Very, very important. I think it puts us on our nerves end, and I'm glad we did that because we need to be aware. And I think we forget when you don't hear about anything, right? So thank you very much for that advice, and I'm sure we'll catch up with you again soon.
Best of the best for the 2024. May God bless you guys all richly in health, wealth, safety, prosperity, discernment, insight, might, and power.
Thank you. Likewise. All the best.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Well, finally, we've gotten hold of Ahmed Ahdar, who is a resident in Jenin. We couldn't get hold of him earlier. Fortunately, we have him back with us. So we'll do a quick update on the current situation in the northern strip of Gaza.